Welcome to what is an occasional relief from our preview and Rangers Roundup podcasts. This is an opportunity to hear from someone QPR, and there are a few perhaps who can match my guest's credentials, but long word. And that's Justin Stone. Welcome, Justin.
Thank you very much for having me, Brian.
Would you like to tell those who don't recognise you what your job is?
I'm the head of events for QPR Community Trust. The supporters will probably have seen me over the last 18 years. I do all the fan engagement on match days, look after the fan zone, ball boys, mascots, all the halftime activities and everything. My day-to-day job, I work for the Community Trust, overseeing a number of different programs and projects, as well as stadium tours.
So is that the role you've had always at the club, or have you sort of evolved into that?
It's changes. I've had about 6, 7 job titles over the last 18 years, as you can imagine. I actually started off at QPR as an apprentice coaching in football development program in 1996. So I worked at QPR 96 to 2000, left, become an activities manager at a kids activity centre, and then came back in 2007. And when I first came back, it was just on a part-time basis, and I was coaching a program called the Kids program. So it was engaging with 12 to 18-year-olds, trying to obviously give them something positive to do, get them off the streets and engage in football and workshops. So pretty much since 2007, I've managed a number of different projects. Probably the last 6, 7 years, it's gone into events and fundraising.
I mean, to me, that sounds really worthwhile. Do you get a kick out of it?
Yeah, I started at QPR when I was 16. My first game I went to watch was when I was 10. I'm a QPR supporter. I was a local-ish lad from Northolt. For my sins, I live down in Dartford in Kent now. But I've been involved with QPR pretty much all my life. So the work that the trust does, we've been a charity for the last 15 years. Obviously, we can access additional funding and everything. But just to see the amount of activities we do, we're not just football. I was talking to a few fans on Saturday who pretty much just thought the community trust goes in and coaches football sessions.
Really?
We do a hell of a lot more, from working in prisons, refugee groups. We do a really successful over 60s group. So every Wednesday for the last 15 years, we've got probably up to 40, 50 elderly people come along. They do tea and coffee. They do seated aerobics. I've done archery with them, boccia. We do lots, health, inclusion, so much more than what a lot of people know. So it's really nice to see what my colleagues are doing as well. So we've gone from 6 full-time staff, we've got just over 50 full-time staff now, and about 80 sessional staff. So some of those staff might do an hour a week coaching in schools. Some might do 25 hours a week working on our older people's program, our health programs and that. So it's I'm really proud of what I do, and obviously it's lovely to work for the club that you support. Obviously, it's not always easy being a QPR. Definitely used to the ups and downs and everything. Sometimes it's difficult going into work on a Monday morning after you've lost, but QPR are QPR, and you support them through thick and thin, and it's lovely to see the club doing well at the moment as well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know you were involved in the Dotty Rees challenge, getting up Mount Snowdon, and also the Tiger Walk, I think. But were you in
So
QPR's work related to the Grenfell disaster?
yeah. So sadly, when the first day that happened, I was actually driving in from home. So at 6 o'clock in the morning, I stopped on the A40 and saw everything. Obviously, we've got some fantastic people at QPR. So the likes of myself, Andy Evans, the CEO, my colleague Danny Edwards at a time, we spoke to the club staff, and we actually went down there with a number of our community staff to help on the day at Westway. I think we were there for like 14, 15 hours, and then QPR were a donation point. We helped support with the match that happened at QPR that raised millions of pounds and everything. So I think it's brought a best out in the community when that sort of stuff happens, and we support the Grenfell Foundation now. We have annual matches on at QPR during the close season. So Grenfell was we still have staff working with people in need around that now, so many years after and everything. The Dotty one was an interesting experience going up Snowdon, because I coordinated the volunteers, staff. Obviously, Dottie's mum came and joined us as well. Jude the cat climbed up Snowdon, believe it or not, nearly got blown off a few times and everything. And yeah, we even had to make I think a 10-mile detour so we could be filmed for this morning. So it was longer than it needed to be. And it was very, very cold, but it raised, I think, over 40, 50,000 pounds for Dottie. And obviously Dottie, I see every now and again when she comes to a game with her dad and her sister. So yeah, it's really nice with that sort of stuff. Regarding the Tiger Feet Walk, yeah, that's our program for people with Down syndrome. So it was founded in 2008. This is the Tiger Feet 15 happening in April. So depending on if it gets moved for Sky, at the moment it's due for the 5th of April against Cardiff. And I'm pretty much just trying to promote it now. We started promoting from Saturday's game, try and get as many people on it as possible to raise as much money, because all that money goes back into delivering some fantastic sessions for some fantastic people.
Yeah, that's great. And I wanted you to use this opportunity to do just that. So I'm glad you have.
Yeah,
Um,
man. Right.
but it's not just, I gather, with you about organising people, whatever. I believe that you also were one of the 8 runners in the London 10K last year. How did that go?
Yeah. I used to be I used to be half the size I am now. So I used to be a bit of a runner back in my heyday. Um, I've done it twice. I've done, sadly, I didn't do last year. I did the year before and the year before because my calf was bad last year. But yeah, it's good. We get lots of people who wear all the QPR tops and we run. And to be honest, the last couple of K, it's the fans supporting us on the outside. So you always get a few people cheering on URs and everything. You see a couple of other people wearing QPR tops and that. So it's really nice to get together with some of the regular runners. We get some new ones and that as well. But yeah, I'm very much hands on. If you see me on the match day, I probably do about 20 laps of the pitch. I should probably manage better by just sitting back and letting people do their stuff, but I'm very hands on. I know how I want stuff to do, and I've got some brilliant staff on match days, by the way. It's just I probably do about 20 miles a day, and that's I am very much hands on with all the work that
Yeah,
I do and I receive for the trust.
it'll keep you trim.
Yeah, ish. Yeah.
And am I right in saying that you, prior to working with QPR and doing all the great work that you're doing with the community trust, you were an events manager working for a company that focused upon outdoor activities, like
Yeah,
scouts,
so,
this?
so if you've got young children in year 6 and year 7, you've probably heard of a company called PGL, which the kids called Parents Get Lost. It's actually Peter Gordon Lawrence who founded it. Yeah, when I did my apprenticeship at QPR working in the community coaching, I was doing my level 3, BTEC level 3. I had the opportunity to go to Italy for 3 months to learn Italian and then train with a football club and I was at Treviso. When I came back, having that sort of experience living away from home, I wanted a little bit of a change. So I started working for PGL, was an instructor first of all. And then after about 3 months, got opportunity to go work in Paris at a centre called Chateau Grand Romain. It's where Brazil stayed during the World Cup in '98. So obviously having a bit of football experience, I was coaching French football teams out there, and then it just expanded from there. So yeah, for about 5 years, I worked for them, got up to activities manager, senior head group leader, and I did all the international football tours. So groups from all over the world would come over, stay where Brazil stayed in the World Cup. Obviously, it wasn't the same standard as when Brazil were there, but yeah, I did that for a number of years, and then decided to come back living in London. So got back in touch with Andy Evans from the Trust, and then yeah, it's been 17, 18 years since I come back.
I can see a definite linkage there between the two jobs, without a doubt. There's like an evolution into the QPR one, without a doubt.
Yeah, no, I think I done well at PGL because when I first went there, foot and mouth was about. So where I was in Guildford, the Devil's Punch Bowl, all our activities, mountain bike and hikes, they all got cancelled. So rather than school groups doing that, they had to do ball sport sessions. So me coming from a football background, I delivered all the sessions. And in the end, I went to a few centres teaching staff to deliver ball sport sessions and everything. It's all from my background at QPR. So since from that, it's like, oh, actually, you're quite good at doing this, quite good at teaching people that. So I sort of progressed to working in France, did lots of training courses and that. So hopefully when I came back to QPR in 2007, I brought some of the qualities that I learned working at an activity centre back with me to do some of the projects, which yeah, it's just progressed from there.
That's great. I mean, up to now, we focused rightly upon your role in the club, but I know that, as you mentioned, you're an avid supporter too. So, on to the questions. We're looking for some quick fire answers from you. I'm sure Paul
I'll try
Morris
my best.
will do this. Um, how long have you supported the R's and why?
Supported QPR probably since 1989, 1990. I'm from Northolt, and to be honest, I think QPR were doing really well at the time in the leagues. One of my friends, Dan Perry, who lived 6 doors away from me, his brother Mark Perry played for QPR youth. Obviously,
Mm.
made his debut, scored on his debut. So I went with Dan whenever he went to watch QPR. I went with him. Mark played for England, so I went to Wembley to watch him play at Wembley, and QPR is my closest football club. So I don't think there was anyone else who I would have wanted to support at the time.
Yeah, and you said you were from Northolt. I can see the logic there. I mean, I was from Hillingdon Borough, so it was not too far away.
Yeah.
Um, so now you're living in Dartford. How long is it taking you to get into the ground?
If you work in my office, you would know that because I whinge about it every single time I come in. Um, it's quite good because I manage my time and I work evenings, I work weekends. It's not exactly a 9 to 5 job, especially the projects we have on. So on average, I'm going to say about an hour 40 to drive, hour 45. Um, if I need to be in at a certain time, so if I need to be in at 9 o'clock, I pretty much have to leave by about 5:45 to make sure I'm not stuck in horrendous traffic. Um, I think the longest it's taken me is 4.5 hours. Um, on average, about an hour 45, 2 hours. So I get a train occasionally as well.
I am not surprised. No. I mean, presumably the academy is slightly easier, funnily enough.
Yeah, so when I go down, obviously we've got a brand new training ground that's 15 months old, 16 months old. So obviously I'm based at the stadium, but when I go down to the training ground, we get to work there as well. It's longer, but it's quicker. So yeah, I tend to do it a few days as well.
All right. Do you have a favourite QPR strip?
Um, anything with I think classic FM. That
Yeah.
was some of my earlier days. I liked then. Obviously, everyone loves the Guinness tops and everything.
Yeah.
The black Ashfield top, the away kit, I actually did really like. I liked the video they did with that as well. And Dan was a very charismatic
Yeah.
person to be around when he sponsored the club as well. So yeah, there's a couple. The classic FM ones I like just because I was young and they were probably some of my first lots of kits I got.
Very collectible, I would imagine.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, definitely.
when you go to Loftus Road, I know you said you were often busy there during the games and whatever. Where would you normally be sitting? Somewhere, not in the dugouts, surely.
No, 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 no. I've tried to get behind the dugout a few times, but it's busy. I always stand in the disabled area in the Stanley Bowl stand. So this year, obviously, since multi-ball, we've had to have more staff look after the ball boys. So when during a game, I'm just making sure they're happy and they're safe, and the best place to be is down near the away end to make sure there's no issues or anything. I have a staff member next to every ball boy now as well, but I stand there and I've got a few friends behind me, the disabled supporters who are there. I have a good little bit of banter with them as well. So yeah, 9 times out of 10, I'm stood there watching the game.
All right. Well, obviously, there are people to look out for you now. Might even
Yeah,
wave at you. You never know.
yeah.
Uh, who is the best play that you've ever watched at Loftus Road and why?
The best play. Obviously, I know everyone talks about Stan Bowles and that. I'm not old enough to have seen him live or anything like that. Adele Taarabt, the season Adele Taarabt, I would say single-handedly helped got us promoted, but he was an amazing player to watch. Those little few minutes of brilliance from him. So I'd say him. I loved watching Les Ferdinand, Ray Wilkins, and when I was younger, I used to watch him, and obviously just knowing what he'd done in his career. And Ray used to come back to QPR quite a lot to see people as well. So he was probably the most genuine person I ever met
Mm.
from the team. That you got Andy Sinton, who I believe I got him back involved with QPR doing our football league matches where fans could pay to play with ex-players. So Andy did that for me, and then obviously he's a club ambassador now. He was great to watch at a time. Still really good to watch over the last couple of years he's played as well. But I'd have to say a Belterat.
Yeah, you've gone all for all attackers really, which is by chance when you were playing, were you playing up front?
No, I was a very skinny midfielder, and I didn't play at any high level at all. I played a couple of youth games for Harabara. I played just not even semi-pro, but I was just a quick little right midfielder. But because I was so skinny, I couldn't really play in centre midfield. I got bossed about a little bit too much. They just stuck me on the wing just to run. Um, and that changed when I hit about 27. I put a bit more weight on.
Okay. Excluding the playoff final, which is the best game that you can remember?
Um, I'm not sure if that's season we got promoted first of all against Leicester. Actually, no, QPR Crystal Palace when
Oh,
Tony Scully scored a hat trick. That was an occasion. Obviously, I was only young back then. QPR Wigan, the semi-final of the playoffs. That was amazing. I actually really liked the Leeds game when we lost, but we got promoted, and we found out earlier in the day that we weren't going to get ducked points. But for atmosphere, the QPR Wigan, um, obviously it went into extra time and everything. Everyone got in a
yeah.
huddle. I got even the ball boys into a huddle saying, "Look, if we're losing, get the balls really quick. Do this, man." It sounds silly, but it's a memorable game.
Yeah,
But
that was
yeah,
a good choice.
the
Yeah.
playoff final was memorable, but it was for us putting all out the 44,000 flags beforehand. So when it came to a day, I was literally nearly falling asleep on the 60th minute of the playoff final game. It literally killed me the day before. I was the only one allowed to let our volunteers into Wembley Stadium. So when we're putting flags down in the top tier, I got a phone call. I had to come down, up and down from like 7 in the morning till 9 at night. So it was memorable for different reasons.
Yeah, yeah, not necessarily the right ones.
No.
Um, who is your favorite QPR manager and why? Sounds like it might be Ray Wilkins.
Yeah, but from a supporter side of things,
Yeah.
potentially, I think a player rather than a manager. Obviously, we sold some of our better players. We didn't do great with Ray as a manager. I think for a genuine person to come up, see how you are, Marty at the moment, I don't think I've met a nicer person than him.
Oh.
Um, Obviously, Jerry Francis back in the day, but from a supporter aspect, people I've actually met. Who else? Who else? Mark Warburton was absolutely fantastic with sort of player engagement as well as Marty. So if we wanted to get players to come out to visit any of our sessions and everything, wouldn't have a problem. Mark would come to a lot as well. So I spent a little bit of time the season before he left us. He came along and did some um, visits to local residents that was QPR supporters. So we went around and he had a chat with them. Are they okay, like during the COVID period and everything? So Mark was really good. Marty at the moment, I don't think I've met someone who's as genuine as and down to earth as Marty in such a high profile job as well, which is amazing. So um, yeah, I have to say Marty.
He's well loved. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
Um, were you at the Wembley playoff final on 24th of May 2014 when Bobby Zamora scored that winning goal?
Yeah.
Did you?
I was with my wife, my father-in-law, and a couple of colleagues and everything. So that was amazing. And yeah, as I said, I was falling asleep on the 60th because I was putting out all those blooming flags the day before and everything. But yeah, it was a great occasion. After that game, when we went down, me and my sister and Fiona, our business manager, we saw Charlie Austin asked us if we were coming back to the club for a party. So that was quite nice. So quite a lot of the staff went back to the club to celebrate, and then I was there
Right.
the next day at Wembley when there was that little sports car that Tony Fernandez brought Harry Redknapp in the middle. I was about 10 seconds away from being allowed to drive it off the pitch. but they stopped me. But yeah, so it was a good occasion at Wembley. I think everyone who was there, um, you're not going to forget that for a long time.
No, I don't think so either. Okay, moving back to the community trust now. Which players have been the most supportive and perhaps active in their support of the trust?
There's been loads over the years, loads. I think Neda Manua was really good when he was a captain at QPR. He was really good doing the stuff. I don't think anyone would disagree that Albert Adoma, obviously a local lad, came back to play for QPR, Uncle Albert. He's actually done some stuff with us since he's left.
Oh,
So
good.
he has a Unks 37, that was his number, Unks 37 tournament. So we put on a tournament at the local Power League pitches probably about 4 or 5 months ago. So he came down and we had everyone on his social media, they applied to play. So in partnership with a program that I oversee called the Premier League Fans Fund, our neighbours, we invited loads of local kids and young adults to play in this tournament. He came down, supplied everything, paid for everything, and it was just literally just to give back to the community. So he's been brilliant. He'll probably do some more stuff with us in the future as well in the trust. And at the moment, I don't know if anyone saw on last Saturday before the Plymouth game. There's a little bit about the Tiger Cubs on there. So Sky Sports came and done some filming, and the likes of Alfie Lloyd was fantastic. He's really good with our inclusion participants at the moment. Jimmy Dunn, absolutely amazing. Over Christmas, we did sort of a not a Christmas appeal as in asking people to support it with money or anything, but the club players and a couple of our sponsors, Mygava and Achilles Security, they put a lot of money in for us to go do visits with our players. So we did 9 visits, which is the most we've ever done in the community over the December period. So we went to a couple of hospitals, we went to 3 care homes, we went to 2 food banks, we went to a school and everything like that. So over the Christmas period, every first team player came out and did a visit. So
Wow.
I don't think normally you get some people who are like uncomfortable or they don't want to be there, they got other things. And I can honestly say I did 8 out of the 9 visits. Every single player was brilliant when they came along. Morgan Fox was fantastic. Jimmy Dunn, Steve Cook, uh, Kenneth Powell, Jonathan Varane. They went to a care home and Jonathan met someone who was from the same sort of area that he was brought up, this old lady. So they've asked to actually come back into that care home to see these guys and everything as well. So no, the players are really, really good. The engagement that we do is I think second to none.
You know what? You get the impression that they at the moment are very unified and that there's a great camaraderie there. So yeah, I guess that's why not? It would follow
Yeah,
through.
it's great. Even so, we have EFL Week of Action where we showcase some of our projects and programs. So this year we got we got a few players to come see one of our inclusion sessions. So people with a number of different special needs and everything. I think Alfie Lloyd came to that. That was brilliant. That was recorded by a club. And then we had all of our goalkeepers, first team goalkeepers, so all 4 of them came down to do a goalkeeping session at Rectory Park with our college program and participants. It was the coldest player visit I've ever done in my entire life. So I was helping doing the goalkeeping session. Paul, Joe, Nathan, they were all there with the guys and that. It was absolutely freezing. But rather than them just it's too cold, we're gonna go. They were there for an hour and a half. We literally finished doing our stuff and they stayed chatting to staff, parents and that. In the end, I think the parents and the staff had to leave before they did. Now,
Good.
sometimes that's not always the case, but it sort of shows what the type of characters we've got in QPR at the moment. So it's lovely to see.
That is good. I mean, honestly, that is really, really good. You mentioned about your family. Do any of your siblings or children follow the R's as well?
Um, my my family, not all my nieces and nephews have actually worked at QPR at one point or the other, either in a kiosk, the club shop, overseeing the big screen. So I've all got them little, they've all applied and got jobs doing that. I've got 2 boys. I've got an 11-year-old and an 8-year-old who are avid QPR supporters. It's not as easy for them to support QPR as me, especially when we don't go through such a fantastic phase and we live down in Kent and everyone's like, who are QPR. But my boys, yeah, they're going to be QPR for the rest of their life, which is lovely to see. My wife had no interest in football until my boys were born. So even when she came to Wembley, she had no interest in it. As soon as my boys were born and they started playing football, she's now an expert in football. Especially on a Sunday when I'm helping coach my son's teams and everything. She knows more than everyone, but she's probably the person who will come and turn the TV on to watch QPR more than everyone now. So, but yeah, my parents and my brother and sisters had no interest in football.
I'm still working on my wife.
Yeah,
It's a long battle. Um,
yeah.
Finally, where do you expect the R's to finish this season?
I don't know. I think look where QPR were in December. Look where they are now. Obviously, it's disappointing when they don't get 3 points, but the work ethic they're putting in is second to none. And I know it's really hard for supporters because you see them for that 90 minutes. But when I do training ground tours as well for our bondholders and that, and how you get to see them train and the intensity and the effort they put in is really good. I'd love them to get into the playoffs, but so would every single fan. Just play to the best of their ability and give it their all, which they're currently doing. Even the best teams in the world can't win everything, can they? So,
No, and it's a very diplomatic answer, if I might say so. Yeah.
try my best.
Okay, finally, Justin, is there anything in particular you want to promote from the community trust with the people who are watching?
Uh, just really my biggest thing currently, we've got a few sort of events that we're looking to do. We launched a match day raffle earlier in the year that so in a couple of areas we are going to expand it to most of the stands, and there'll be probably a gazebo outside the club going forward just to sell raffle tickets. So it's £2.50 a raffle ticket, a book for £10. There's a prize is normally about £250. All that money raised though goes into the community trust for us to deliver different activities and everything. So anyone that's interested in buying raffle tickets, there will be a central point where people can come and get them. Obviously, we've already got sellers out at the moment in some of the main stands that. So just going to try and extend it so everything's covered on the match day. Tiger Feet 15, obviously that's literally getting launched. We are going to promote it at every game going forward. So this year we'd really like lots of new people to do the walk. So back in the day, we used to walk from stadium to stadium. So from QPR to Watford, QPR to Crystal Palace. What we've done for the last few seasons is from our training ground. So this year, if it does happen on the 5th of April, we'll be at a training ground. There'll be a little mini tour of the training ground for all the walkers. And then it's around about a 10-mile walk from the training ground in Heston to the stadium. They arrive at the fan zone. They meet the Tiger Cubs, who will have a training session at the fan zone. Then all the walkers will go onto the pitch before the game for a photo. And then at half time, all our Tiger Cubs will do a lap of honour. And it's always a really good occasion, not just for the Tiger Cubs, but it's for the parents and all the walkers as well. So really, we just want to raise as much money, but get as many different walkers as possible to take part in that. And then yeah, there's in the next few weeks there'll be some promotion about some of our Legends tours that are happening. So we've done a few in the past with like Ali Fowling, Clint Hill. We did the Icon tour. I've done it with Les Ferdinand, Andy Sinton. We've got some special people booked in, probably starting in March, and it'll be maybe a Tuesday evening, a 2-hour tour with the player, so they can tell us about the change room, about what's it like to play on Loftus Road, and it'll be a Q&A. And then I tend to get some of the main trophies out so people can get some photos with that. So in the next week or two, that'll be promoted on the club social media, and that'll be a good thing to attend.
That's great. Thanks, Justin. Well, I think everybody you will need to look out on the club site for these. It's well worth supporting as well. That's all the time we've got, sadly. But I hope all of you have been watching, have discovered just how great the Community Trust really is, and how proud we should all be as QPR fans of what happens within the trust and their contribution to the community. If you'd like to get involved, obviously with them, contact Justin at the club. For now, can I just thank Justin for finding the time to chat with me and all of you for watching. This has been a Hoops and Dreams QPR podcast. My name's Brian Fisher. Come on, you R's.
Yeah. Thank you, Brian. Take care, everyone. Bye.